Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Right now, the Warzone meta, while there are a few obvious standouts, is pretty competitive across a bunch of different weapon categories. We've talked about some of the main standouts throughout the course of the first half of Season 4 here, but across the board, there's a lot of parity from category to category. And today I wanted to break down the best meta weapon and also, of course, the best meta loadout for said weapon in every customizable weapon category. And we're starting here first with our one true secondary customizable class, the pistols. Obviously, you can't customize, a launcher or a melee or something, so we're not talking those. But for pistols right now, still the best go-to choice, in my opinion, is going to be the Core 45. You could build this out a couple of different ways, and regardless, it's still probably going to be the best choice there. There's not a ton of competition here. The full auto Renetti is all right. The tier 2 shot build is all right, but it's a bit more unforgiving. Here we're going for the lightning trigger, or the lightning fire trigger, Core 45, which technically has like the fastest TTK out of all the pistols realistically. Now, the conversion kit build that we've covered in the past, also very viable, but this has definitely been my go-to Core 45 setup as of late. This lightning fire, when you can spam this thing as fast as possible, whether you're on controller or mouse and keyboard, you can get that TTK up to a pretty crazy number if you can consistently fire it fast and stay on target at the same time. Because we are firing it so fast, you probably want to go for an extended mag. 30 or 40 would be totally sufficient here. I find myself to be a lot more accurate with the slate reflector on here, especially when you are firing fast. The kick can be a bit more noticeable, so that just keeps things consistent. I go for the heavy long barrel, helps out with some idle sway, some range, some velo for that hit scan range, a little bit of control as well. It's just doing a little bit more than something like the tactical stock would. Then I also go for Zem 35 compensator, again, just to make sure the gun is feeling super easy when I am spamming it really quickly. But yeah, if you can land shots and you can shoot this thing quick, you're gonna be set in the close range. This thing can put players down quickly. Now for the base sniper category, I mean, it's still pretty obvious here. There's not much parity, quite frankly, because so many snipers are just irrelevant this year with some of the stipulations required to one-shot. So the Cat is still the go-to one-shot sniper, the true best sniper in the game right now. It's got good velo, obviously can one-shot at any range whatsoever. It is a little bit slow and clunky, but it is sort of the state of snipers in this game at the moment. So we are going for the Nightfall suppressor. Really all we care about here is getting that velocity number up. 941 is decent enough for a lot of fights in this game. Zang 34 is also going to help out with that velocity. We got the high velocity ammo on here for, well, you guessed it, better velocity. I know, pretty crazy. I do use the default optic. I'm okay with that. So instead I go for the tac pad stock. It's going to help out with some ADS speed just behind the face cam there. This thing is not quick. This is not a quick scoping gun by any means. So any help we can get in the ADS category is good in my opinion. And then also just behind the face cam here, we've got the quick bolt. If you're looking for a screenshot, go ahead and snap that real quick because that's going to help me get shots off faster back to back. So if I don't get that one shot knock or need to get the cleanup off of a knock, I can quickly get that secondary shot in there. I do wish there was more competition in the sniper category because quite frankly, this is a boring setup to keep talking about, but objectively, it's the best sniper. Now, it certainly acts like a sniper and feels like a sniper, but technically it's designated a marksman rifle. The Kar 98K is clearly the best marksman rifle. It's arguably the best gun in the game right now. We know this is going to be nerfed with Season 4 Reloaded. We don't know how severe of a nerf that's going to be, so it might remain the best marksman after the update. It might get knocked down a ton. Time will tell there, but yeah, this thing is, as I'm sure you all know, the go-to option right now. So here I'm going for no stock first and foremost. I like that snappy ADS. It's just better movement across the board. Good strafe speed too. I really like the Endless AS7 scope here. This is all preference based. I like the fact that I get a slightly faster ADS with this as opposed to maybe the range collar or some other options. But if you like a different scope more, always go for comfortable, options there. Then we just care about velocity yet again and a little bit of our effective damage range. So high grain rounds, extending the range and velocity, obviously great. 85 meter one shot range here is phenomenal. And 985 velo means we're going to be in a solid hit scan range there too. 7.62 long barrel, better range and velocity yet again. And then sonic suppressor will give us the best velocity possible and also a decent range bump up too. So obviously optimized for aggressive sniping across the board, and it's so easy to use that this thing just is absolutely absurd in its current state. And by the way, as we are breaking down all the weapons and setups here today, if you guys enjoy this video or if you find it helpful, do me a favor and drop a like. It's always really appreciated. It does really help grow the channel. And if you are new to the channel or maybe you have not subscribed yet, this is your one-stop shop for all things going on in Call of Duty, whether it's news, updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns. It's all right here on a daily basis. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. Next up here for LMGs, I think this is again a pretty clear choice, the Holger 26. Best TTK throughout, whether you're fighting at, 35, 45, 55, 65 meters. It's going to be great there. Super easy to use, very low recoil. It's just super consistent across the board. It's pretty much equivalent to the pre-nerf DG58, if I'm being honest. So here, first and foremost, I go for the 2.5 times Eagle Eye Optic, my choice of optic for mid to long range fights. Again, if there's one you like more, always go for comfortability there. I like the Ascent Lord stock on here a lot for the better control as well. It's not a ton, but it's going to make the weapon feel like an absolute laser beam. I've kind of gone back and forth using this versus some high grain ammo, and I think it's really just a matter of preference there. Do you really care about upping that velo and that range some, or do you care about being more accurate? Whatever your answer is, the gun's going to be good regardless, right? Ruin heavy support on here, better horizontal control, better firing aim stability, and idle sway, which is obviously very important. We got the factory barrel on here as well for better control, better range, better velocity, and Spirit Fire Suppressor for more of the same range, velocity, control benefits on there too. So like I said, extremely easy to use and a phenomenal TTK, so it's checking all the right boxes. Now for shotguns, admittedly, not a huge shotgun guy. I oftentimes turn towards what Gumi is recommending. He's usually the go-to shotgun guru in Warzone, and he's been talking about the Slug Riveter as of late as the true #1 shotty, and I've tweaked my setup for it a little bit compared to what he's been running, just more so for preference. And yeah, this thing for close range can be pretty nuts with the slug damage on there. So you do want to have those slug shells. Obviously that's the main components of this shotgun even being good in the first place. 30 round extended mag is kind of you know, unnecessary and toxic, but it works. So I hope I don't run into this in game, because I will be annoyed if I die to it, but objectively speaking, it's going to make the gun very easy to use because you can just spray and pray. I also go for the skeletal vertical grip. I like that this helps out with ADS and sprint to fire, just makes the gun feel a little bit more aggressive, but it also does help out with that vertical control. There's a decent amount of recoil just in general when you're spraying this thing, especially if you're ADS. So when you can help out there, it's solid. And that's exactly why I go for the Iron Head break as well, for the better control there too. Hurts your ADS some, but it kind of is what it is at this point. And then for your last attachment, I think you can kind of mess around. Sakin ZX does a decent amount for control here, only hurts idle sway, which is irrelevant for shotgun fights. In that range, it's just not going to matter. So you're basically getting free control there. Could make the gun a lot easier. If you want it to be more aggressive though, you could drop that. You could throw in something like a Razor Hawk laser sight for a better ADS and a better sprint to fire, and it would technically help in tac stance, although I wouldn't recommend that with the slugs. You want to be ADSing as much as you can here for accuracy purposes. So if you care about the ADS speed a ton, you could go for a laser. If you care more about control, you might want to opt for something else, maybe even optic here and there. But yeah, the Riveter for a shotgun, it's not going to be crazy good, but it's definitely the best out of the category. Hey folks, briefly want to chat about my friends over at Gamer Advantage. Of course, GA is no stranger to the channel here. Every single face cam video, you guys see me rocking my Horizon frames. These things are game changers. I've said it before, I'll say it again. There's no more important thing at my setup here, the computers, the monitors, the controllers, than these glasses, because these allow me to do what I do best day in and day out. If you're looking at screens for long periods of time, whether you're working, doing school, gaming, whatever it may be, you got to get yourself a pair of GA frames. They offer prescription and regular lenses. They've got a bunch of different colorways and frames, so a little bit of something for everyone there. And when it comes to sleeping better at night, reducing eye strain, these things are phenomenal. Best of all, if you want to throw in code IMMORTAL at checkout, you end up getting yourself a nice little discount as well. The link for that will be down in the description below if you're interested. Now for SMGs, this one is pretty close, all things considered. There's a couple of really good options, but the Super E just checks more boxes than any other sub. Yes, the Horus is really close, the Wasp 9 is up there, the Striker is up there, but this thing's got the strafe, the general movement, the control, the TTK, the consistency out to range. It's just doing it all right. This is by far my favorite weapon in the game right now. Wouldn't be surprised if this one got nerfed soon just to balance out the category some, but as it stands in its current form, this thing is nuts, and I love this setup. It's more so strafe, oriented and strafe based, but it's also so easy to use and super aggressive just in general. Light barrel is going to help out mostly just with that strafe. That's really all I care about there. DR6 hand stop, better strafe, movement, speed, ADS, and sprint to fire. High grain rounds extends that range and that velocity out. 16 meter damage range with this thing's TTK is phenomenal. Your hit scan pretty much everywhere you're fighting. 40 round extended mag works just fine with this fire rate. And then the cutthroat stock aftermarket part, great strafe speed as well. Some decent movement benefits on there. The control cons are not a huge deal because this weapon is pretty easy to use, all things considered. Like I said, this is one of my favorite guns, one of my favorite builds, I would say, so far this year, with just how unique this SMG feels in game, and all of it's great movement properties while being incredibly lethal as well. Now for battle rifles, surprisingly enough, it's still got to be the SOA Subverter for me. There are some close competitors for sure, like the Sidewinder is actually pretty good. The 7.62 is all right. Like there are some decent options in the category, but the Subverter actually still has a pretty competitive TTK, especially in the mid range, but then even its long range is not all that bad. Even though it was nerfed and it's no longer a #1 option, it's still very good, and also has some of my favorite iron sights in the game, so you're able to make this thing an absolute laser beam. We go for Casus Break. There's a lot of horizontal movement. It's like an S-curve pattern, so this will flatten it out some. We got the Dozer 90 long barrel, better range, better velocity, better control, better pizza, Papa John's. We got Bruin heavy support for the firing aim stability, the horizontal control yet again, 50 round extended mag. And then honestly, you could go for the heavy stock if you want to go all in on recoil control. Don't think that's a bad option at all. You could also swap that out though for high grain ammo. Hurts your control some, but it's going to give you an even better damage range and better velocity as well. So both of those would be valuable. It's just which do you value more, control versus range and velocity? Either or, it's not going to be a wrong choice. This thing is still very solid if you know how to use it effectively. And then lastly, for assault rifles, this one I think is very clear as well, and it's no surprise because I've said this all season long, really for the past couple of seasons. The BP-50 is the best assault rifle. You could use this thing at 10 meters, it's going to fry. 20 meters, it's going to fry. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. The DPM is going to be worse as you get further out, but its TTK is phenomenal. It's extremely easy to use. All you really have to worry about this thing is when you're reloading, because 45 rounds, you do burn through that with this fire rate, but you also are going to have plenty of time to reload because this thing's going to knock players back to back to back so swiftly, right? We got the Mode 40 stock on here. Our castle will not be infiltrated. We're going to have better movement, better control. Great little 3-in-1 benefit there for sure. We got the DR6 hand stuff. This thing is so easy that I can make it even more aggressive and not really have any punishment in the long range fights in terms of control. Lower 9 heavy barrel will help out some with control, but also range and velocity as well. Then Casus Break again, just to make this thing a lot more accurate, a lot more predictable all across the board with that horizontal control being attacked there. So this thing is also phenomenal. You can mix and match a lot of these combinations together and have some fantastic loadouts. Obviously, we've talked about several of them as pairs in previous videos, but the parity across the board right now is pretty solid with the exception of maybe the Car and the Supri being the two main standouts. You got a lot of good options in every single weapon category right now. Curious to see how this will change with Season 4 Reloaded, but that's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out so you can guarantee you are always up to date with all things going on in Call of Duty. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.